we will now begin the discussion about the course. You are not able to hear me? Lalchand Sahu, you are not able to hear me? Sound is enabled, but your system must have. Are others able to hear me? Or us?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Yes, so Sahu, you have to check your system. You may have to rejoin with your audio and video on. It is possible that while joining, you did not switch on your audio. So please join again. Everybody else is able to hear me, so hear us. So therefore, I don't think there is any problem with our voice. It is you who has to check. Thank you. So friends, this is a very exciting journey for us. And I'm quite sure that we will be able to create a very participatory collegial process of learning in which, as I will show you a few minutes later, and Professor Anamika will show you with some examples, we will learn as much as you will learn from us. Maybe we learn more. So the idea is that the course will help us to connect with society around us, but in more particular, society around you. And we will learn through your eyes and ears and your hands, which you will use to design experiments, projects with a part of group. Swapnil Kirdant, you are not able to hear me. Yes, it's good that Sahu is guiding others. Please, thank you, Lalchand. Ram Bharadwaj, check your button. As Sahu has said, you have to check your audio and check, because Nikita, others are able to hear. Anamika, you're able to hear?
Yes, Professor.
So, good evening, Kamini. Somebody should help Nikita. Nikita, please join again. If you have not joined with audio on, you may have a difficulty in either speaking or listening maybe. So please check your joining again, because other people are able to listen, as you can see on the chat. So Shri Devi, you are right.
Sophie, you are requesting to record the meeting. Is it so?
We are
record the class. We are already recording it, but in case you want to do, I will enable.
Enable. If anybody wants to record it on their system, please enable it. But that will not conflict with our recording, no?
No.
So that's fine.
They're doing it locally.
Yeah, okay. Please do that. You're welcome, because some of your class fellows have not joined. They might have told you, हमारी proxy लगा देना और अगर हमको class record करके बाद में सुन लेंगे, which is fine. We have around half the class now, 483. We have 1,000 students registered for this course. I would appeal to all of you to join as often as you can, all classes ideally, so that we can learn from each other better. Now, let me start sharing the outline. Before that, let me also one suggestion. Yes, Anamika.
No, just one suggestion. Everybody can name their name and their institution. That will because this is the initial
when we
phase.
recognize you, when you raise your hand, it will be possible for us to call you by name. Some of you have joined perhaps with your roll numbers or something. Most of you, at least the one I'm seeing, are with the names. But if somebody has joined with registration number, please put your name and institution abbreviation. For example, IAST, which is Institute of Advanced Studies from Guwahati, put that, or somebody is from NIST Jorat, or somebody is from NCL Pune. Just write NCL, we will understand. Yes. So in your name, Juma, do that in your name if possible. Rename yourself.
No. So I think there is I will just change the allow participants to rename. Just give me a moment. I'll do that.
Yeah. No, wait a minute. Don't do on chat. We are giving you permission to do it on the screen itself. हो गया?
नहीं सर, हो रहा है, रुकिए करती हूँ.
All right.
Allow participants. I'm not able to do that.
All right. Doesn't matter. So then let us keep it like this. So friends, this is a course about meeting the unmet needs of society. And how do we meet these needs? We will meet these needs first by identifying them, and then we will see whether with our skills we can do something to it's all right. You can stop those of you who are putting on the chat. It's all right. We have your sheet, registration sheet, so we can take out your affiliations from there. But some of you have done on your name, which is very nice. Rosang Jwala has done it, ICT, and Harbuk Chawda has done. So therefore, some of you have done it on your name. Others can do on your name if you can. That will be fine. So friends, we are trying to see how grassroots innovation ecosystem can help bridge the gap between certain needs which have remained unmet despite the efforts by the market institutions, by public R&D, by private R&D, and public services. In spite of all of that, there are some problems which have remained unaddressed. In this course, we are trying to identify those problems and trying to address them. We obviously will give importance to the problems that women face, or problems that local communities face, or indigenous people face, or tribal people face. We will prioritize those problems which have remained unaddressed for decades, centuries, sometimes millennia. And we will look into those reasons why certain kind of inertia persists in our society. Tomorrow's class is in that. So let me share with you the outline first, and then we will go to the topic of the day. So this course, as you can see, meeting the unmet need, meeting the unmet need through grassroots innovations, inclusive development through innovations for and from grassroots. There are 10 sessions, and then 3 sessions are designed in the end, in which you will present your synopsis. Synopsis is a tentative plan of what kind of project, group project that you want to do. 4 or 5 people is fine. And this project should lead to some action. Yes, Shivalika? Shivalika? You wanted to say something? I saw your hand raised. I can't hear you. Shivalika, can you speak up if you want to ask some question, or put it on the chat? Okay, all right, I understand. So not a problem. So we are looking at innovations for grassroots, which you are going to develop, for instance, and from grassroots, which communities, individuals, farmers, artisans, mechanics, vendors have developed from the grassroots. And let me go to the change it. So basically what our purpose is that in the prioritization of the problem, which is understandable that some of you will take a very narrow focus defined problem in your own discipline, which is not bad, which is why the PhD program is designed to help you become expert in your field. However, which problem in your discipline you take may be influenced by the more articulate, more influential, more demanding clients and supervisors. What we want to try to do is to influence the process of selecting problem, so that some of the problems that communities face can also come on your agenda, can also become eventually in the due course your thesis problem. In this course, we will only look at them as a small project that you will do as a part of requirement for the course. But eventually, in few years' time, our feeling is that those of you who are in the first year might consider taking up some problem that have a huge impact on the skills, on the livelihood, on the conservation of biodiversity and resources, and associated knowledge system of the communities, some of which is functional and valid, and some of it required blending with modern science and technology. So there's an inertia. There are problems which have remained unaddressed, and we'll try to see why. We also realize that the problems of the women have often remained unaddressed, or the things that women do in their everyday life tend to go through slower change. I'll give you an example. I was teaching a course at IIT Bombay with Professor Chakravarti, D.K. Chakravarti, in IDC Industrial Design Center during COVID. And in this course, there were about 250 students. And the question we asked one of the days was, who eats the cold food at your home? So what will be your answer, one or two of you? Who eats the cold food at home? Anybody, Pooja? Imran? Who eats the cold food at home? Then you go home or otherwise at home. Anybody?
Mother's mom, mommy.
Correct. So that was the reply we got that day. So we said, this is very unfortunate. Mother has given you birth, sent you to IIT or CSIR, and then when you are at home during COVID period, she's still eating the cold food. So we gave a problem to them. Everybody has an assignment, a week-long assignment, where everybody will cook hot food, chapatis particularly, for mother and feed her hot food, and then experience whatever happens in the process. So, and they was all supposed to upload the photographs of their first roti, their kitchen, their tools that they were using in the kitchen, and of course the final roti that they made after a week. So during the presentation, we invited Sanjeev Kapoor, the famous master chef, and we also invited mothers to the classroom. So we said, your mothers can also come to this class. So large number of mothers joined the class. So we asked them, what happened? So one student got up and said, raised hand and said, sir, we realized while cooking the food, now this problem women have known for long, but men tend to ignore this. So one boy said, sir, the rolling plate, chakla jisko bolte hain, jis pe roti banate hain, the rolling plate height should be higher because we have to bend forward to use the rolling pin and balancer while spreading the roti. Oh my God, for all these years, the mother had been cooking food, making rotis, and we never experienced that problem that she goes through every day. Women tend to adjust and adapt to the constraints somehow. They have been trained from childhood, and which is not a good thing, because if you adjust and adapt to the problem, how will change come about? But that's the way culture has been. So many of others realized some other problem. One of them said something that most of you have known, that when you to take a hot vessel off the flame, we often use a piece of cloth. Sometimes women use their pallu of the sari, and it gets burnt in the process. Accidents take place. So what I'm trying to say is immersive experience, learning by doing things that in our role as a man, for example, I'm saying, of course, Anamika could compliment or contradict me, we have tended to take for granted, and we have assumed that things are going on. We are getting food every day. Why bother about who eats the last? And why bother about what drudgery women go through? And I think this has to change. It has to change. And one of the purpose of our course is to change that. We'll talk about various books that have been written on this subject. Has anybody heard about the author of a book called as Mothers and Daughters of Invention? Anybody? Raise hand. Mothers and Daughters of Invention. I'll talk about it. Either I or Anamika will talk about it tomorrow. But just to give you an instance so that you can search on the net, Mothers and Daughters of Invention was written by Autumn Stanley, who worked for 13 years to write this book. And this is one of the most neglected books, unfortunately. She analyzed the data of US Patent and Trademark Office for 200 years. A lady spent 213 years to analyze 200 years data to find out the share of women, and she finds that in early 80s it was about 2% in USA and 8% in late 80s, and may not have increased a great deal. No, so the problem, the neglect of creativity and innovating potential of women is not just typical of our country or our culture or developing countries. Even in the developed countries, this bias remains, and we need to overcome that. And we would like to discuss how we can overcome it. How can we empower ourselves in a manner that not just women will take the care of problem of the women. All of us have to do that. It's our collective duty. We look at that. We look at how grassroots innovations emerge in a materially constrained environment. And that's why they tend to be frugal most of the time. And these individuals, impatient as they are, develop solutions for their communities or meeting their own need. And these solutions, as we said in the beginning, are different from the solution that you will develop with all your resources and knowledge and skills. But both are important. You can't manage with one. So obviously, we are going to focus on inclusive innovations. We will talk about different awards that we give, Honeybee Kriya Award, Creativity and Inclusive Innovation Award. We give Gandhian Young Technological Innovation Award. We give Ignited Mind Award for children. And all these awards we will discuss as we go along so that some of you can participate in that. And we'll share the journey of Honeybee Network over the last 35 years. How has it triggered a revolution in the field of knowledge system by highlighting the knowledge of communities. We will also share some of the open databases, briefly mentioning there's a database of 1 million abundant US patents, all accessible to you, which you can use in your research. Unfortunately, many of you do not review patents when you write your thesis or write your synopsis. I would request that all of you should do that. A patent application is published in 18 months, so you are only obsolete or out of date by 18 months. The research paper may take 2 to 3 years, so you're obsolete by 3 years if you are drawing upon only research paper. Book is about 7 to 8 years, so that's the period that you are up to date. So we need to look at both valid and abundant patent, and these are open source, open good. And our gyan.org site, as the link is given here, has about 1 million abundant patent pooled by 2 of our students, Zaigam Khan and Devika Kaushal. And there are many other databases, grid.undp.org.in, hbnkind at gyan.org, sushi.org/WSA. A lot of databases are, all of them are open access. So what are we trying to do? We are trying to look at the creative ideas that can come from anywhere, anyone, anytime. We will also look at policies. Many of us, when we do research, and we complain that our thesis did not make an impact, though we did such a good work. One reason is we have not paid attention to which levers of governance, administration, bureaucracy, private sector should we press, should we manipulate, should we leverage to be able to get our work to the millions of people that who may deserve that knowledge. Or at least if it is for industry, then those enterprises, small or medium or others, which can use our knowledge, should come to know of it. Now, for example, in Gujarat, we have 72 clusters. And has any student from CSMCRI, there must be some students here, or for that matter, from NCL in Pune, or East in Jorat, or CRI in Pilani, or whichever institute. We don't send our abstract of the thesis to the cluster of industry which is likely to use that work. Let us say you have done work on ceramic. And in Surendnagar, we have a cluster of ceramic industry, one of the largest, and Khurja also we have. So what would be desirable if we really want our work to be implemented is to send copy of abstract to the chairman of the cluster council or cluster union or cluster association and mention that, look, this is the work that we have done. It may improve the efficiency, reduce the waste, improve the energy consumption, reduce the energy consumption, make it more carbon neutral or whatever, and please share it. And if you want to know more, let us know, and we will be able to tell you how to use this knowledge if it is open source. And if it is IP based, then you can offer to license that technology. Preferably to a large number of people with non-exclusive license, but it's up to you what you choose, whether you want to make it DIY, do it yourself, or you want to make it available at low licensing fee on non-exclusive basis, or you want to license on exclusive basis. That is your concern, your choice. I would not say anything about that. All of these are valid ways of disseminating, but some effort will have to be made. So we will also discuss how do we diffuse and disseminate our knowledge, our innovations, so that they can reach the people who are desired. We will like you to join hands. We will share with you 2 spreadsheets. One where you will document the knowledge of elders in your community or family or otherwise, some of which can become products. And Anamika will give you some examples of how traditional knowledge can lead to, and I will also share some examples with you how traditional knowledge or knowledge of the community can convert to viable product which can go to market or which can solve problems of the community. Some very good examples have come from IST, from Riri, we'll share that, and from other institutions. So we are trying to see how we motivate you to develop these projects. And before I go to the first session, which is on keeping our mind open to learn from unexpected quarters, to see how we can learn from innovations at analogical level, architectural level, heuristic level, and just thought level, so that higher the abstraction, greater is the reach of innovation. The principle. And how do we listen to the users? And how do we listen to the lab attendants? How do we listen to the supply chain members, the chemical supplier, for example, or to anybody else, or shop floor workers, as a source of learning? And today morning, we had a small workshop, one of the companies of Tata Group in a GIDC, Gujarat Industrial Development Center. And there we were talking to some of the supervisors, and they gave so many examples where workers provided the insight, which engineers and designers weren't able to imagine. And these workers solved the problem. So we should not hesitate that I'm a PhD student, and why should I ask a lab attendant for help? And many of you, I'm sure, have taken help from them. Isn't it true? Is it true that some of you have taken help from the lab attendants? So I would like that, just as you cite personal communications in your research papers and theses, quote them, cite Mr. Mohan Tiwari, lab attendant, biology lab, or biotechnology lab, or organic chemistry lab, or whatever. Acknowledge that. They don't need anything else, but an acknowledgement makes us feel good about ourselves, that we have been fair to the people who taught us in our journey to become a good professional. But it is also good for the culture, for the ecosystem, so that we give credit to the people from whom we have learned. It makes a big difference to the culture, as you will see as we go along. So, Anamika, would you like to share a few examples of the project that the students have done?
And yes, then sir, I have a couple of them. I will just share my screen.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So these are just a few examples to tell you what kind of projects have been done in the past. And like there were many that have been done, but these are some which we liked quite a bit. So the first one is about now this project is very interesting because it uses very commonly used plant materials and available plant materials. So from rosa, haldi, kurkuma, tinospora is galo. In Gujarati, we call galo. It's very commonly found. And then it is, just hold on. And then it, parijat, nictanthus, right? पारिजात मतलब समझते हो जिसको बंगला में शिवली बोलते हैं, and it the flower sheds on in the morning. So what they did is they made extract from this, and they saw if what kind of effect they have on wound healing. And the source is of course traditional knowledge. Now this by like, and many people will say, what is new to this? the new or the value addition to this is doing it in a lab and prove the efficacy. Now, there are many times there are knowledge which are by the people. Sometimes they are traditional knowledge, sometimes they are contemporary, but restricted to a community. So then how will that create a market for the traditional communities to earn from their knowledge is when you go and validate the scientific claims, prove the science behind the knowledge, right? And because people who can make, they will anyway make it, and they are not people, like they are not people who will be able to afford them. So the knowledge is very democratic, it is there. Now there are people like us who are in the cities and who do not have that time or to go and search for such even common things, right? So for us, anything that comes in a tube or a box will help us a lot in using them. So, and we have a project in the Himalayas, in Kashmir, Sikkim, and Nagaland, where we have collected more than 600, 700 practices. And if anybody of you, of any one of you would like to validate them or value add them, we'll be very happy to share the details with you.
Anamika, can you make it
But
full screen? Can you make it full screen? There's a request.
yes, I will just do it, sir. Oh, this is, hold on. Is it better now?
Yeah, it's a complete, very good. Yes.
Yes. So, we have collected this knowledge. So you'll be, if you want to do some value addition and validation on these knowledge, of course you can. I will be very happy to facilitate that. But there are two conditions that, as a network, as the Honeybee network, we always put forward because we work with the people for the people. So first is the community has to have co-authorship. Now you will say that what does it matter? Like how does it matter? Because these people are not much educated. They'll not go for finding out if their knowledge has been validated, has been published by somebody else. But it is not for them that we are doing. It is for us that we are doing. कभी कभार मतलब कभी कभार क्या maximum time we even if we want to do good we do it because we feel good, right? So if you acknowledge all the, like what professor was saying, all the people who have helped you in your research, you feel good. And maybe sometime the future generation of the community, somebody will go on the net and find out this paper and they'll see their maybe grandparents being as one of the co-authors, they will feel good and they will have a trust and they will share more with you. Secondly, if you decide to, like, if there should be an IP coming out from it, and we file patents on the name of the community, and if there is a significant research done by you or you have made some new additions and deletions, you'll have to share the IP. And in licensing, the benefits go to the
Assignment is to
community.
the community. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So these are a few conditions. Rest, see, this is something that we follow and we'd like you to follow. In case you don't, you can ask from the permission from the community, right? So these, like we have quince apple, if you know, people from Jammu, Triple M Jammu will know. Bamchut bolte hain Kashmiri mein. And that people use for clearing, like for treating respiratory disorders, or sometimes when there's a congestion in the chest. So they use it. And traditionally what they do is they make it in, they make murabbas, like sweet from them, from the quince apple, and store them. Now, what we did, as we realized that putting sugar is not something that a health conscious customer will like, and we tried it with honey. The shelf life was only for 3 months. We are now making changes, but it.
Your voice is gone.
So
Voice is gone. Your voice is gone.
is it? You're not able to hear
Now
me?
it's okay. Now it's okay.
Okay, so we found that it not only like it, we tested it like I tested it with my father who had an H1N1 infection, and then he had a heart attack. So there was a lot of congestion in his chest, and he was on nebulizers and steroids for a long time. And it took about 8 days for him to be out from that situation with the use of this bumchut murabba in honey, in Himalayan white honey. And we also found that it reduce the diabetes, like the sugars. This time probably we'll do more, test it out in more locations. But in case you want to do a lab study on it and see the effects, we'll be very happy to facilitate or send you the samples. So there are many, there are ointments and other things, and so they have come from the community. And the proceeds from all the sales will go back to the community and the environment, because what we want to facilitate is conservation through consumerism. The next one is again a simple thing. आप लोग सब धूप जलाते हैं घर पे. We buy from the stores and we use for worshipping. Now this group of people from ICMR, malaria research, Bharti, Neha, and Poonam, what they did, they took the dried and crushed floral, sorry, some like in marigold, they use the flowers, and then in mint, they use the leaves. Durba or Cynodon dactylion is very simple, and Ashoka leaves. And they powdered it and they then mixed it with cow dung. And now what they did is very interesting. They found the efficacy of each one of them individually, and they saw that the combined effect was remarkably well, better than improved than the individual components, right? So these are, and why I chose this was deliberately because this is a societal impact class, and we will like you to get involved with the grassroots knowledge holders, scientists, and build upon what we know to some extent, right? So these are two examples. Many more will come up.
Can you go back to the mineral one? I will explain that one before I share.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, this
is very interesting.
So what happened is this came only a few days back, and yesterday or day before there was a convocation of AcSIR, and we were having dinner previous night in CSIR Science Center, and I was telling AcSIR Director Vice Chancellor Dr. Dhar and others sitting there, a lot of senior colleagues were present there. And I said, I want to talk to you about this project by Nikhil, Anisha, Himanshu, Radhika, and Varun and Satyendra, because this touched my heart by the way they have done it and what they have done. So it's very interesting, and I will show you some examples from it. Namika, can I change the slide now? So I will go back to the slide that I had, and we
Not this one, sir?
I will.
Okay.
I'll show that. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, sir.
So let me check this. This is the one. So what did they? Is this the one? No, this is different. Okay. So what did they do in the paint? Let me explain. They extracted the sodium silicate from rice husk, not from the ash, but from the husk, made nanoparticles, and mixed it with a mineral paint. And they found that it was extremely affordable paint for walls of hut in the rural areas. They found it was fire retardant, thermal resistant, so temperature would be regulated, and would protect it from rain, or heavy rain, or erosion by water and other such forces, and make the life of the wall or the plaster longer. And then they went to the community, and one particular hut they chose of a poor person and painted it. And then asked the person, the resident of that hut, to give them feedback. Now, this is a good example of how solutions can be generated within the scope of this course by collective action, joint work, and its impact can reach. So I wrote back to them and their coordinator from IAST Guwahati that, look, If you can, sorry, from Needy, that if you can make it open access or DIY, that would be wonderful, because more communities or more local entrepreneurs can develop this paint and sell it locally. So it will generate a lot of jobs and will generate income, and they will sell it at a very small margin, unlike the big companies which have much higher margin, and will improve the livelihood. So it would be a good way of solving our problem. Now let me take another example. And Lalchan, you have to check your own system. You were hearing earlier, so there is voice is enabled. Everybody else is able to hear. It is problem with your network. Change your location or direction of your laptop or your phone, and things will improve better, I hope. Because, okay, so somebody was, you're able to hear
able
that.
लिखा है.
Able, अच्छा, so I was somehow missed it. All right, good. So let's go further and see what can be done. So this is an example from MIT. Kritika Subramaniam and Luda Wong, two of them published this paper in Nature Communications in 2021. I'm trying to give you an example where research with Indian communities by scholars from MIT led to a publication in Nature Communications and solution which communities in slums of Delhi tested. What did they do? They looked at the xylem and the phloem, and they used xylem of pine tree, the wood, and put it in a tube as a filter. Now, this is a very smart filter, isn't it? Water goes through the xylem, and even the rotavirus and the bacteria were filtered. Can you imagine? Virus also being filtered. And this water was comparable to the best possible, most efficient and extremely, maybe sometimes costly water filters. But this was done at a negligible price. What am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that frugal solutions, solutions that communities can afford, are compatible with good publications, good solutions, and great satisfaction of having done good to the people for whom we are doing this course together. So this is possible. Let us look at another example. Just yesterday, Chief Minister of Haryana visited this village, Damla, Yamunanagar, and met this person, Dharamveer, who is a present awardee, and we'll talk about him later. But just to mention that this person has generated a solution at low cost for sanitary workers, which will clean and collect the garbage and lift it and put it in the container behind. Something that our laborers, our sanitary workers, Safai Karmcharis do in your own campus, probably, even today, as in my campus, even today, somebody comes in the morning with a broom and sweeps the campus clean, and he's using a technology which is 10,000 years old, if not older than that. And we are all seeing that and ignoring it, but not this person. So innovation can come from a grassroots level. Innovation can come from the student. Let us look at this example. This is another example. I communicated with Pranami. Some of you must know her because you must be from IAST. Aditya Narayan Kamar, Kangan Jyoti, Pranami, Partha Pratim Sharma, and Surjit Basar. What did they do? They have developed a bio-nano formulation, a plant growth promotion, as recently as April 2023. And they found that the shelf life was almost 6 months. They have developed this from Streptomyces species of microorganism from tea plant conjugated with the silver-doped carbon dot nanoparticles for enhanced delivery of plant growth promoting factors. It is safe, it doesn't hurt anybody, and all these solutions that have been developed. And you know what they did? When the documented traditional knowledge was one of the plants they used for nanoparticle is a traditional knowledge plant, they acknowledged the provider of the knowledge. So it is not most of the scholars in the past, they made people anonymous. Here you can see Rubul Hazarika has given this knowledge of Piperlongum and Protharad, which is common knowledge. And they have gone Bicoria, Motilena, Leteku, from Assam, people will know that, treat diabetes, improved appetite, and against rheumatoid arthritis. Now, all these solutions have been given by specific people, so they have names. I'm not saying they are the owner of knowledge, they are the communicator of knowledge. In some cases, it is possible that knowledge may have been preserved in the family, but by and large, I would assume that it is a community knowledge, but communicated by a specific person who needs to be acknowledged along with the community. And then they went back and they gave this solution to the communities through a program that they organized in Mangaldan, Darang district of Assam. At a farm, they invited the people and then told them and shared them. Now, this is a very interesting way. You take a problem, they collect the knowledge, take a problem, select a plant, isolate from that nanoparticles, combine it with a microorganism, develop a nanoformulation, test it out. I could have shown you the photographs of the plant that they had tested it, and the results were spectacular, as I saw from the pictures. You can get it more detailed information. If some of you are interested, I can send the whole report to you, assuming that Pranami and others don't mind it. And you can see that the whole process of accountability, ethical standards of research, how do we deal with the knowledge that Anamika was sharing a while ago, that not only we take their prior informed consent, we acknowledge them, and we share the findings back with them. You will agree, all of you will agree that in the last 75 years in our country, very few scholars, and correct me if I'm wrong, very few scholars ever shared the findings with the people from whom they collected the data. Am I right or wrong? Your response. Anybody can speak up. Is it true? So, say, Devi, what should we do? Why shouldn't it be necessary that whatever we do with the committee, we collect data, we bring samples, we sometimes bring a soil sample as we do in our Shodhyatra, and some other people may bring from plant sample. And if we don't acknowledge them, we don't even tell them what our findings are, would that appear to be fair? Is it fair, Anil? Or Kanupriya? Do you think it is fair? Then shouldn't it become a protocol? And this course can help us. Manisha, you're not able to unmute yourself. I'm sorry about that. Namika, can we try them, allow them to speak if they wish to?
Yes, I'll do that.
Yeah. Because hearing their voice is very important for us. There should be a participation. Otherwise, it will become we keep on speaking, they keep on hearing. That's not fun. So we would like to hear from you. What do you think about this process that you have done it? I mean, this is an example I'm giving of a project which you have done it, and as recently as this year, based on the last year's course, of course. But you have set a good example. This team has set up a good example of accountability, of process, of doing good research, good literature review. And at the end, they developed a solution. And the solution, as you can see here, was given a name. And this is the solution that they made it. EcoGrow Plus, the whole process. They made a brochure and shared with them. And the entire cycle was very ethically done. So I think the new standards are emerging, which we can uphold in our work. And anybody can want to comment on this before we proceed further with the outline. Anybody wants to comment? Now, I think you can speak. You can unmute yourself and speak. But take care that when you're talking to somebody, if your mic should be unmuted, it should not be unmuted. So there's no disturbance in the class. Anybody wants to comment on this process of acknowledging people, sharing back the findings with them, which is what the philosophy of Honeybee Network is actually, that we acknowledge them, we cross-pollinate ideas from one community to another, and that if we generate any benefit, they go back to people and they are told the findings of our research. All these four principles are very fundamental principles. All right, so we'll go to the next session that is there, which we will have tomorrow on inertia and innovation. Why do we live with problems unsolved for so long? What are the sources of inertia? Why are we the murderers of our own ideas? I'm sure, as we will see tomorrow.
Sir, they can now, I think, unmute themselves.
Okay, so
And
if anybody wants to comment on the previous point, you're welcome. you're welcome to comment before we go further. If you want to say anything on the methodology these people have followed, the process they have followed, you want to say anything? Is it possible? Is there any?
Even if you don't want to, please do it once so that I know it works.
So, Asidevi, can you switch on your mic and say that orally, what you feel about this unfairness in our work where we have not shared neither the finding nor the credit? There are hardly any papers you will find where co-authorship is shared with the communities. So can you speak up, any one of you? Can you try to speak up? I heard a sound, but it was of a child, I think. Not able to unmute. That's what she's saying.
Sir, now we are able to unmute.
Or you are able to. Okay, Aparajita, you can do that now. So what do you think about this process?
Hello,
Anybody?
sir.
Yeah, anybody wants to comment on the process where we have been all along for decades and decades, we have been collecting data from the people, we have taken material from them and never share our findings with them. Do you think that is an unfair process?
Definitely, sir. I think that's an unfair process. And doing this will actually...
Mention your name. Mention your name also.
This is Yash Mankat from Triple M Jammu.
Okay. Yeah, Yash.
So I believe that what you say is 100% right, and it has been unfair since a very long time. And what it will help by doing this will encourage the community to come forward and help us whenever we reach out to them, because they know that their effort and their time that they are investing in giving us and sharing that knowledge to us is not going in vain. It's coming back to them with a value addition, and they will feel proud to be a contributor to something big and larger than themselves. So it makes a lot of sense, sir. Yeah.
Thank you. That's very well. Anybody else wants to say anything further before we proceed?
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm Praveen Raj from CSIR NIST Thiruvananthapuram. So
Yes.
as you said, it is theoretically, it is true that we need to get back to them, give them the feedback regarding what scientific improvement we have made. But the practical difficulty is that how many of those real traditional healers are in a position to understand that the implications and then the scientific content which we have bringing them back. That's one bottleneck. Then scientific community find easy that it is better not to share also. So that is in fact.
Yeah. Let me explain.
The thing is that we need to
ahead.
educate them and empower them. If you educate them and empower them. So, for example, take the case of one Jeevani drug developed from Kani tribe in Kerala, the first case where Pushpangadan did it. So where the Kani tribe are so illiterate that they're not able to understand what the scientific community is doing with that. So my point is that it has to be done, and even giving a co-authorship, they don't understand what's the co-authorship.
So let me mention to you what happened in Kani tribe, because Dr. Pushpan Gadam was a very dear friend, and he came to me when he got this breakthrough of Jeevani drug made from Arogya Pacha. And I also I've written a case study which you will find on the net for WIPO, World Intellectual Property Organization, describing the whole process of benefit sharing. So what happened was that they observed these Kanis, they were walking through the forest, and Kanis were not getting tired, and Dr. Pankam and Chandran, his co-author, they were getting tired. So they said, what are you chewing? Please switch off your mic, dear friend who is not speaking. Please switch off your mic. So then they learned that this leaf that they are chewing may have something. Then they got it. So they created a benefit sharing model, as you know. A trust fund was created. And you know what? Institute said, we can't share the share of the institute. So they said, all right. They said, you can share your part of the royalty. They shared their part of the royalty. They did not take a penny from the royalty. Let me tell you, this is one of the unique cases where scientists said, no, we must share both the knowledge and the benefits. And they did both. Knowledge in the sense that you can always explain what effect it has. So they said, look, even the athletes, one of the American magazine of athletics, put this Jeevani drug on the cover page. In my case study, you will read that. I will send you the link of the WIPO study. And you will notice that they understood clearly that this plant apparently gives them energizing, anti-fatigue effect. They may not know the chemicals, they may not know a specific enzyme, they may not know a specific protein, but they know the property, and that you've explained them, that you have. Please unmute, don't unmute. Please keep yourself muted, otherwise we'll have to mute you all. Anamika, you have to please close the mic maybe once again. So I will talk about, no, when you are saying, Ati, how can we find out in 6 months? My suggestion is that many of you have done it, as I have shown you with the examples. And now you can hear me. So your report can take some time. If you take 2-3 months to send a report, 4-5 months. As I told you, this was of last year back, and the report came, and the product was finished in April 23, and then the report came just a little while ago. So it's okay if you take time to finish your project, but making a meaningful project, doing a meaningful project, sharing with the community makes a big difference to your power, your sense of satisfaction and self-respect, and also to ours. As a teacher, we feel, as a co-learner, we feel that our effort was rewarded. And mind you, you are creating a standard of accountability which the whole country and world will have to follow. It is not just what you're doing in CSIR that is important. What you're doing, what this project has done, is created a standard of accountability. And this standard of accountability will become binding. Tomorrow, UGC, University Grants Commission, AICTE will have to change their guidelines for research. And I'm sure in your lifetime, if not in mine, maybe in my lifetime, we will see these changes in our system. So please don't hesitate in taking up this step. Some questions have come up about what kind of projects you can take up. We will come to that toward the end. Let us continue. So tomorrow's class is on inertia and innovation. Why do we live with problem unsolved for so long? And here we are discussing several issues, including the one that some of us are the worst killer of our own ideas. In fact, many of you have got great ideas in your mind, and then you say, "Arey, aise kaise ho sakta hai? How can this happen?" And then you abandon that idea. Please don't do that. Write it up, first of all, any idea which comes to your mind. And after some time, maybe 10 days, 15 days after, reflect on it again. And if you still feel strong about it, do some prior art search. Prior art search we will discuss means literature review, patent review, market review, Alibaba.com, IndiaMart, online, and then of course you do online business search and see whether any product based on that idea or that concept or that extract or that chemical or physical product has been developed by anybody. And if so, then modify your idea or move forward. If not, you will decide to work on it. Yes, you can make groups across the labs. We have no problem with that. So long as your guides encourage you, we have absolutely no problem in your making interinstitutional groups. In fact, that is a desirable. Interdisciplinary and interinstitutional groups are desirable because they improve our learning potential. We will also discuss tomorrow about autonomy and agency. Autonomy is freedom to make decisions. All of you have autonomy. Agency is willingness and ability to use the freedom. I'm sure some of you will agree with me that we do not use our freedom enough. Though we have it, we tend to become conformist, we tend to become too congruent, we tend to become too compliant, and with the result, new discoveries sometimes don't take place. Sometimes we are worried if our results are too different from somebody else. We feel hesitant. We start finding fault with us. How can somebody so reputed from Cambridge or Oxford have a result which is different, and where my result is disagreeing with their result? Maybe I am wrong. No, you may not be wrong. You may be right, actually. They may be wrong, or they may not have taken enough care. So this courage, in fact, I remember Dr. Mashilkar once told me, he came back from Delhi when he was DG, and in his lab, there was a lady who was student working on self-organizing gel, which is an area where he has done a lot of work. And he took a New Scientist copy. On the cover page, there was a self-organizing gel photograph, and he told the student, look, we could have been on the cover. We were working on this. Did you not come across such a structure in your research? And one of them said, yes, of course I had come across. Then why don't you tell me? I thought it was incongruent. There was some error I have made. And then they missed the opportunity of being on the cover of that science journal. So I'm saying that even with some of the most liberal mentors, this kind of thing can happen. And those who are a little more conservative, those who are a little more coercive, this may happen more often. But please don't do this mistake. If your results are not conforming with the best of the scientists in the world, doesn't matter. So agency is ability to use the freedom that you have, willingness and ability to use that freedom, which is very important. It is not enough to have autonomy. It is also important to have agency to be able to bring about change. And we will discuss that more. How do we create impatience with inertia? That's the summary of what tomorrow's session will deal with. If you have examples of inertia, you see problems that have for laying, please switch off. The problem that you have seen every day in your life and you have not been able to address them, you can bring them to the class tomorrow, and we will discuss why do we live with the problem unsolved indefinitely. How do we change this culture of our society? How do we become impatient? So that's the second session. The third session is how do we identify unmet need? And here we are sharing with you 2 assignments. One assignment we will share here is where a Google form will be shared with you tonight or tomorrow, in which you will identify the unmet need. A problem of a community or a problem that you have faced in the lab while doing certain experiments, and you found that, look, if we had a device like that, my experiments would have become easier. Even that kind of example we can take, no problem. Although I will prefer that you take problems from the society at large. But in exceptional cases, if you are dealing with a problem every day and you want to address that problem, why are we dealing with this problem every day? Why can't we find a good solution to that? So unmet needs will be identified, mapped, and then we will try to see. Your projects can be either on the same need or you can identify another need also as the time progresses. It's not necessary that your project should be on same, but if you want to, we have no problem with that. That'll be nice. The next class is on creating an ecosystem. We will tell you about the evolution of honeybee network and discuss about why networks are so critical for management of knowledge. And how do we blend formal and informal knowledge? How do we create multidisciplinary bridges? As one of you asked this question, can we make groups across the AcSIR disciplines and so on? Of course you can. Most problems are interdisciplinary or transdisciplinary. Very difficult to solve complex problems in any one single discipline. So if we don't allow you, how will complex problem be solved? We will also discuss network entrepreneurship. Those of you who would like to be entrepreneurial, what are the 6 models that we have developed of cooperating, not just competing, but cooperating, getting breakthrough through cooperation. We have heard a lot about competition, but we have not heard enough about cooperation, and we will discuss that. And of course, cross-lab collaboration are very much encouraged. Can we harness traditional knowledge? As we discussed, and we'll share a spreadsheet here on a Google form where you will have 2 or 3 things to be mentioned. One is traditional knowledge of the elders of your own family, or your neighbors, your relatives, your grandparents, or could be community members, servants in your home. I remember during COVID, I gave a problem to some of the students who were interning with us in Gyan, and Anamika were guiding them. And one of them, they were supposed to do an assignment of talking to this service provider at home, the maid or the driver or the lift person or the gardener, make them sit across the table and listen to them and learn from them and share that learning with us in the assignment. That was the task. So one student from Micah who was interning with us mentioned, sir, Rani, who works with us, and in the last 5 years, she has never talked to her for reverse knowledge transfer. It was always do this, do that, and that was one-way transfer. So they sat across the table and she said, I have to give a report to the professor. He has asked us to do this. Can you teach me something new, something different? She said, yes. When you drink water, Sit down. Don't drink water while standing. When you drink milk, you can keep standing. That's good. Some of you come from North India would know that there's a long tradition of drinking milk in a halwai shop, in a sweetmeat shop, standing where a big vessel of milk is boiling. Now, the science of it, why should we not drink milk while sitting? And why should we not drink water while standing? These are the wisdom of our community. And we need to know the science of that. What will happen to our alimentary canal? How can the enzymes be washed away if I allow the water to seep too fast through the body? My digestive system may become sick, weak. On the other hand, the fat lining on the canal might feed into the microbiome, the biota of my gut, and perhaps they will be, and the good organisms will be enriched, and the bad ones might be dominated by this process. Some of you will have to do, of course, the experiments to prove this. But this is the wisdom that people have. So we will document that. We will also look at the innovations that you have come across. Any innovation by third party, by a farmer, by an artisan, by a student, somebody who has solved a problem of community, social problem, and you will share that. In the previous years, we have come across some very interesting examples, and we hope that you will do that. Sixth session will be on blending of formal and informal science, illustrations of contemporary creativity, validated by the institution. So just now we took examples, Anamika shared and I shared, of where you have tried to validate the knowledge of the informal sector. And we will take example, we'll show you examples of how the Department of Agriculture Manitoba has included a community practice as one of the best practices for control of thrips, some viral disease in rows. And they found that milk as a viral control could be as effective as any other chemical for that matter. And it is written on their website. If some of you who are interested in milk as a viral control, you can read about that. Now, why did we not pay attention to that? And what is the harm if something is functional? Why wouldn't I advise the committee to follow it rather than always follow a very complicated, costly solution? If you're convinced and you have done an experiment to show that, yes, we will. So blending the formal informal knowledge system so that we can grow. I will tell you the story of Professor Tu, who got Nobel Prize for Artemis Nin. And how did she discover that? What role traditional knowledge of China played in that? CDRI was also working on Artemis. And yet we missed that. And she got it. And that story we will discuss in that class. Those of you are interested can find on the web some very interesting description of the journey which led her to get Nobel Prize and not us. And this is one of the rare cases where Nobel Prize has gone to a discovery based on tradition. And of course, it's interpretation by the scientists. So what role does innovation play, open innovation play in reinforcing experimental and innovative ethic? Very important. And this is something that you will have to pay a lot of attention to. We will share with you a lot of databases that we have where you will find open databases. We have, as I told you, at gyan.org database of 1 million abundant patents. Similarly, we have grid.undp.org.in. We have hbnkind.gyan.org. So many databases that we have, which we shared with you. We want to encourage creation of public goods. And of course, next class is on learning from nature, the biomimicry that some of you are familiar with. For those who are not, will become familiar. Learning from natural, analog, and common people. Shodhyatra, we walk every summer in hot places, winter in cold places, and in autumn I take my students to Himalayan. Other two walks anybody can join. So our 50th walk is in Nagaland from 18th to 24th January in Kifre. If some of you want to join, register for it at Shodhyatra site and you will be able to join us. And there is a project that Anamika explained to you, which is going on there. And you will also contribute and meet those communities. So how, as a concept, voluntary suffering, undergoing hardship voluntarily, nobody is forcing you to do that, can help us to become more authentic in our professional life. I'm learning the hard way. I've walked more than 6,000 kilometers over the years. All these states we have walked, every state, from Andaman to Gurej Valley in Kashmir, Anantnag, many states more than once. And we would welcome if some of you want to be part of this process. So Rajendra is saying, I'm in, welcome. And we will welcome some of you. Come with us, bring your skills, but also bring your vessel of thinking. And if something surprises you, share with us. Please remember, and I'm going to make a statement which I hope some of you will keep in your mind for some time. The day you are not surprised, you have not lived. You have just existed. In 24 hours, there must be one moment when you say, oh my God, I didn't know this. And that moment you grow so much, because that moment of saying, I didn't know it, generates learning. Every day, such a moment has to come. And today, when morning we were having this workshop, we got so many examples which we didn't know. And the ways of solving problem of the workers who were not even 10th pass. They were not even ITI. And they could solve technical problems. And their supervisors were proud. But they admitted, sir, we have not documented these. We have not put it thus on our idea portal. You have to help us. And we were saying, can these workers also help our grassroots movement? Sure, sir. They were all open for that. But the point was very simple, that if we create a culture of learning from common people, from, as I said, lab attendants, other workers, gardeners, service providers, that will open a huge opportunity for us to learn fast and learn new things. That is something that we were very hopeful. We will share the link for registration with you. The email address is, you can also write to Gyan, anamika@gyan.org if you want to join Shodhyatra, or shodhyatra@sashti.org, SRIST, whichever address you write, we will be in the. We all bear our own cost.
So I put the link
Oh, you have done
of
it?
the form.
Good, good. Very nice. Very nice. So now we go further. Session 9 is on diffusion of innovation. What are the monetary incentives and non-monetary incentives, individual incentives and collective incentives, material incentives or non-material incentives? Today, I shared with you some project report of students. When you will talk about to them those groups that look today, professors shared your project with us, wouldn't they feel encouraged? It doesn't cost me anything. Didn't cost you anything. It is completely non-monetary incentive. But appreciating somebody's work, which has impressed us, no doubt, encourages you to think. And there are many more projects. Please understand, if we have not shared with you more, it is only because of paucity of time. We have many more examples. And in other sessions, we will share with you as many as we can. And if they agree, then we will put in a database so that all of you can read their project report. But I'm saying that these reports are creating new standards. So we will look at how innovation diffusion can be studied. How can your solutions reach larger number of people in the country? This is a call of today. Everybody is asking this question. CSIR produces so many solutions. Why are they not diffusing widely? And some of them have in fact diffused. Some of you may not know the white revolution would not have been possible. Do you know what made it possible? Anybody knows the story? How the milk revolution became possible in this country? Anybody knows what role CSIR played in that? Anybody? Prabhat and Ashwini, we have not teaching the even history of CSIR's contribution to nation building. Anybody knows? I'll wait for one more minute. If anybody knows, tell me. I would rather like to hear from you than my telling you. What role did CSIR play in white revolution, in milk revolution in the country? No? Do you want to know about it?
The formulation for milk powder was invented by CSIR.
But what was the problem? Why? Powder was being made in Europe for a long time. What was the difference? What was the challenge?
Just a hint, the source of the milk.
Well. The challenge was that most of the European milk powder, not most, almost all of it is from cow's milk. In our country, the cow and buffalo's milk was mixed up by the farmers because they had buffalo, they had cow. In the same village, some had cow, some had buffalo. So milk collection center will receive milk from both. And to make a powder of high-fat milk of buffalo, that technology did not exist. That was developed by CFTRI. And that was a contributor so that in winter, when we had more milk supply, we could make powder. In summer, when there was less supply, we could reconstitute it with butter oil and give it back as milk. That made us to even out the demand and supply. More supply in some parts, the prices will go down if we didn't do anything. More demand in other places, but less supply in the summer, and we will complain if we didn't meet that. But evening out that became possible because of CFTRI's technology. So what I'm saying, there have been a huge impact that CSIR has made on everybody's life, not just on the life of some industries, but also on the masses. But many times we don't talk enough about these solutions, but we should. And we will discuss more as to what do we do to make this impact more often, more frequent, and more larger scale. We will discuss. Next session is on, then we will have a break of 10 minutes, 15 minutes. We are a little late in the break. Normally we should have a break at 6:35, but anyway. So that is on policy and institutional implication for research, prioritization, pursuit, and utilization by the industry. What kind of institutional changes, what kind of changes in the policy and institutions we should mobilize, we should lobby for to create the context for our solution to diffuse, for our solution to expand. And we will then look at those conditions which we can pay attention to and learn from. So, yes. So this is about the codes. And of course, there is a presentation of the synopsis. We have kept 3 days because each one of you will take some time. It is not possible to finish it in one day. But it is possible that you submit also your synopsis and only highlight the key differentiator in this synopsis, not the entire. Don't read it out. Don't take minutes after minutes. In few lines, tell us what is so special about the question that you're going to address and how would it impact. These are the only 2 questions you need to answer. How would it impact the society and what problem is being faced or addressed by your project? That's all. Details, methodology, all that you can mention in your synopsis, but don't have to present it. Otherwise, we'll not be able to cover this in 3 days also. So this is all about the course. I will stop here and we'll take a break. If anybody has any question about the course before we break for 10 or 15 minutes for you to refresh yourself, and then we'll continue the review. Anybody has any question? Any suggestion you have for modifying the content? You can also tell me tomorrow, tell us tomorrow. If you wish some topic to be included, which is not included now, you want us to pay some attention to that, we'll be happy to do that. But any comment, quickly. You can unmute yourself or we can write on the side, whichever is easy for you. Does it make sense to you? Yes, AC, I don't know your name, but US, you will get recording of each session. We'll put them in Google folder and you will get the recording. We will also put the transcripts, but they will not be very good because my syntax, the AI tool that we use, Fireflies, is not very efficient in transcribing, but it will give you reasonably good understanding of what we are talking about. I sometimes eat away some words.
I think ACSR might also put them in the YouTube. So I'll check with Ashwini ji. And alternately, we can also put it on in our channel also.
Yeah. So you decide if you want either an ACSR channel or GAN channel, we'll be happy to put these lectures there and we can send you the recording. And in addition, we can also share with you the very AI-based transcript, which will not be very accurate, but they will help you. So because we realize that some of you are traveling and some of you have your experiments going on just now at the time of the course. So we fully understand the challenge. So we'll have a break for 10 minutes, 6:55. Can we get back? Is it all right? Yes, we can take up some survey-based projects. We will discuss that, but only in exceptional cases. If your lab is like that, then okay. Otherwise, we'll prefer that you do some experiments. But so we will break now. We will go mute and my colleagues will stop, Namika, the recording, and then we'll resume at 6:55. Please do come back in time, 6:55. Do some exercise, stretch yourself, drink a cup of tea, and do something. See you in 10 minutes.
ए हिरू चलो
नहीं है मैंने कहा हाँ मैंने कहा वही उनका अकेले ओला में आ जाती हूँ मैं तो हाँ मेरी
Welcome back. Those of you who had left, I hope will join back. We have around 400 students, but we have lost about 150, who I assume are going to join. But we will start. It's already 6:55, so we are on time. And we will look at the first session. We will look at some of it. I'll share the PPTs. Both of us will share our PPTs, and also wherever you wish to stop us, ask question, comment, critique, you're welcome. You don't have to wait for the whole presentation. Just raise hand. I think there is a possibility of raising hand. Namika, they can raise hands. I'm sure there is
Yes, sir, they can.
So then you can do that and we will continue. So how do we look at what we are trying to do and what is the way we learn from the oddity in life? Why do we say that innovations are found? We can find innovations anywhere, everywhere, at any level, in any sector. And this is a photograph that Anamika took, and I'm very fond of this photograph because these four ducks are moving in one direction, and this one is in a different direction. And I'm interested in this duck. She did not care about what the trend is. She didn't worry that what will these four bird ducks think about me if I follow their new path or different path. She didn't seek their approval either. She just started moving on her path, a goal that she has decided for herself. And I think this is the crux of the matter. This is where this course will try to make a difference, that all of us will try to find our North Star. You understand North Star? Dhruv ka tara. Each one of us has to find our own North Star, which will pull us in the direction in which our life is destined to go. And we don't have to worry about what will others say. I will also not even bother about whether my colleagues will appreciate it or not. And in the process, my oddity, my incongruence will not bother me. And this is what Honeybee Network tried to do, giving voice, visibility, and velocity to the creative and innovative people in the formal and informal sector. A nameless, faceless person comes in contact with the network, gets an identity. Be it farmers, artisans, mechanics. Please switch off your mic, dear friend. We provide recognition to children, to students, to farmers, to artisans, to mechanics, and in some cases even to the policymakers who have made a new way of solving problems, find a new way. And both of us very strongly believe that context can change the content. We're trying to change the context of research, context of relevant research, context of excellent research, context of the research that makes a difference. How can you change the context? For example, many times you use the term bottom of the pyramid. Nothing could be more wrong because nobody's at the bottom of all pyramids. A lot of poor people may be at the bottom of economic pyramid. But are they at the bottom of knowledge pyramid, ethical pyramid, institutional pyramid? No. Kabir and Rahim, they summarized the knowledge, wisdom of life in 2 lines. They were not even educated. They didn't meet their basic needs, unlike what Maslow said. And they achieved enlightenment. Even today, we recite those lines of Kabir or Rahim ke dohe, and we get inspiration from them. So there is no reason to assume that those who are economically poor are poor in all other forms of wisdom or knowledge. No, they are not. Let us ask a question. Is there anybody in the class whose upload to download ratio in last week, month, or year was more than 1? Anybody? You uploaded more content than you downloaded. Anybody, please raise your hand. I'm very keen to find one such person at least. I've been trying. Aarti, sound should be coming. Check your setting, please, Aarti. Check your setting. Anybody who has, can anybody advise Aarti? How does she get this? The sound? Somebody should guide her. So what is happening? We want to be the leader in the world. That is the aspiration. कैसे बनेंगे leader, bhai? How will we become a leader if we are the follower of all the time our references? Why do we refer so much to the content from the West? Because they share more. Why don't we share more? Nothing prevents us. All your assignments, all your projects need to be online. And Prabhat, you should check with your system, Dr. Dhar and others, if AcSIR is hesitant in putting all these student projects online, then we will put them in a month's time. And let everybody have access to these projects so that they can select the best. We will also, in some sense, mention the most outstanding ones and then the rest. So that if somebody wants to see which are the best ones, they will see the ones, some of them ones that we share today. So how do we change our upload to download ratio? By sharing more and downloading less. These cave paintings have taught us 30,000 years ago, 40,000 years ago. We were sharing openly, but somehow we have started stinting, and that's not good. So there is another aspect of this knowledge system, which is network. The network is the weak thread, strong support. You know, spider's web, each thread, silk fiber has about 60% strength of the steel fiber of the same dimension. 60%. But together as a network, it has more power than a steel mesh will have. It can withstand more storms, rain, and what have you, and doesn't get damaged. It has so much elasticity. So if we want plasticity and elasticity in our solutions, We'll have to take a network approach and join hands with others to be able to achieve that plasticity. There are 4 kinds of capital that we draw upon. The first capital that came into being was natural capital. Oh, you graze your animal there, I'll graze here. You cut the wood from there, I'll cut the wood from here. You hunt there. We saw some students of Wildlife Institute. So they were earmarked, there were zones from where you will collect, you will do hunting when it was allowed. There we will. Then some of the natural capital is used according to the social capital, and some of it is ethical capital, and some by both. Social capital is trust, reciprocity, and third-party sanctions. So let us say there's a norm in a fishing community that nobody will use a fish net of less than 4 inches. Why? So that the small fish does not get caught. And the reproductive cycle of the fish continues by allowing the fish to grow and spawn. Now, if somebody violates it, there is a punishment for it. And their net can be confiscated, can be burned, can be torn, do whatever. What is ethical capital? Take the same sector, fishing. During the spawning period, rainy season, spawning period when fish go against the current of the water, and they go to shallow estuaries, shallow waters, where they lay eggs. They become very dull. Some of you who eat fish or who have caught fish would know they become very easy to catch. But there's a taboo that fish should never be caught during spawning period. Nobody is checking you. There's no punishment from outside. There's a punishment from within. That is why it is ethical capital. In ethical capital, my decisions are reviewed from within, my standards within. In social capital, the rules are made outside and the norms or rules have to be complied with, else there are sanctions by third party, community head or community members or whosoever. Then, of course, intellectual property, which is the sum total of all of these transactions, and a small part of that is intellectual property, the so-called patents and whatever have you. So these are the 4 capitals which interplay at any stage of our interaction with society. And it is useful to be aware of that. If anybody has any question, go ahead and ask, otherwise I'll proceed further. Now, this is a tree. Some of you are from Meghalaya, I assume, or at least have been to Meghalaya. And you know these bridges made of tree roots in Cherrapunji district. We had a show the other day. So we asked these people, why did you make these bridges? You could have made bridges of iron, wood, wire, cement, concrete, whatever material. No, sir, we wanted to do something different, something durable, something sustainable. So first culprit was culture, which raised this question to be different, to be sustainable. Then second, they said, we saw these roots of ficus species, rubber tree on both sides of the river. They look like rope. Technology. But we couldn't pull them alone. We needed a group action, institutions. So science is like alphabet, building block. Technology is like words. Institutions are like grammar. And culture is like thesaurus. We need all the 4 pillars to have sustainable outcome. We need science, good science. We need technology, which is application of science, which is like word. We need institutions, which is a grammar, which is the norm, the rules, the ethics of the life. And culture, which is variation of the theme, which generates variability in our life, in our system, in our way of thinking. That without diversity, we cannot have sustainability. Many times we discuss, and small digression here to tell you, that unless something scales up, it is not good enough. Well, in some cases, most cases it is true, but you also need to have diversity of solutions. Instead of one solution scaling everywhere, you may have building blocks of that solution, and people can adapt those building blocks and develop various solutions around those building blocks. That will be a diverse way. So fit between the solution and the social need will be higher when there's diversity, and lesser sometimes when there's uniform solution, except when the solutions are like mobile phone, which same phone works for everybody's need more or less. And therefore, it may not need that much variation. But you know the number of models that we have for mobile phones, more than any other product in the market. How can consumers distinguish with so many products? That's for you to know. But what I'm trying to say is the diversity, even there, is of essence. So there are different dimensions of inclusivity. We said that we want to look at inclusive innovation. What is inclusive innovation? Innovation which includes the problems of remote regions, spaces which are bypassed, mountains, forests, tribal areas, weavers. To give an example, and sectors. Sectors are like handloom, leather, or craft. Some of these sectors get excluded from our technologies. We don't develop too many solutions. Those of you who are from Northeast know that almost every household has a loom. But if I ask this class, has anybody bought a handloom? Not those who live in Northeast, outside of Northeast. Has anybody bought anything, any clothes from Northeast? Anybody? Didn't get any response?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
I want Kolkata, West Bengal.
So you bought there.
Yes, sir.
Very nice. How often have you done that?
Sorry, sir.
How often have you done that? How often you have bought something, mekla sari from, let's say, Northeast? How often have you done that in a year?
No, Northeast is far away from West Bengal, sir. West Bengal's culture and living style and everything is quite different. North Indian people or South Indian thought that all North India, Northeast and West Bengal, east side, are similar kind of culture and everything is there, but not exactly the same.
But still, you find that.
Yeah, there is some similarity, you can say. Yes, sir.
But still,
Hmm.
the amount of product that people in the Northeast, Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura, Manipur, Mizoram, Arunachal Pradesh, made by us
Hmm.
is many times more than the product that we buy from them. Correct?
Yes, sir. Correct.
So the reason why there is unrest sometime in Northeast is because they are the recipient. Money comes from their pocket to our pocket.
Hmm.
They pay for things that we manufacture. But money from our pocket does not go to their pocket because we don't buy things that they make by and large, excepting oranges, cardamom, and a few things. So the result is that certain sectors, certain spaces are being bypassed because our development process could be more inclusive, could include a two-way exchange rather than one-way exchange. Seasons, when there's a flood, some regions of our country get cut off. So we need to have flood control, we need to have mobile sources of distribution. There was an innovator, Saidullah Saab from Champaran. He developed an amphibious cycle which could be used to deliver milk for children or medicines or whatever to the marooned houses built on the mounds of the earth in some parts of Bengal, Odisha, and Bangladesh, and some other parts. So seasonally, some region get excluded. Lahore Spiti gets excluded when the Rohtang Pass is blocked because of too much snow there. So many regions get excluded because seasonally, and we need to find ways of overcoming that exclusion. Social segment, we all know the crisis in this country about caste and so on, and certain caste segments get excluded. Certain kind of skills are being ignored, and structural governance. Structural governance means our norms for allocating resources are themselves defective. Let us say we give some resources per 1,000 people. Now, 1,000 people in North India or Central India or Eastern India will be in one village. Density is high, population density is high. But 1,000 people in Western Rajasthan, where population density in Jodhpur, for example, is 35 persons per square kilometer, or in mountains, much less. But if the same norm is used for allocating resources in mountains and deserts and semi-arid regions, as it is used for high-density regions, then these regions will get excluded and these regions will get bypassed. So the essential idea is that when we develop program, when we develop our scheme, when we develop our research projects, and we want them to be inclusive, we should look at those aspects which can keep them inclusive. So one of you just mentioned about Manipur problem of transportation. You know what? After all these years, we are not trying to test. We are still trying We have not yet developed the model, but we're trying. That's a good thing. We're trying whether drones can be used to transport goods. So if you are in a low-lying valley, and there is a road up at a higher level, and you have to take the things, you have to climb the mountain, bring the fruits or vegetable or whatever have you, which involve a lot of labor and drudgery and time. But drone can bring it faster. So now there is a effort going on that drones can be used. You know which country was the first to use drones to transfuse blood in the cases of accident or delivery of women, delivery of child? Rwanda. We think we are the most progressive one. But an African country used drones at least 10 years ago to transfer blood from the hospital to the site of accident where somebody was critical, or to a lady who is delivering child and needs blood for some reason, than us. So how do we create a framework of research and applications such that we overcome various ways in which communities, sectors, skills, social segments, seasonally or otherwise are excluded? This is important. We can't overcome all exclusions in every project, but to be sensitive to this will help you. Our country will become more balanced, and our people in some parts of the country will not feel ignored or will not feel bypassed, will not be angry because their needs are not taken into account in the development process. So as a scientist, we cannot solve all problems. We can solve one problem, which is to develop solutions that will reach those regions, which will take into account the constraints of those regions, so that our solutions are robust enough to work in areas where power may not be uniformly available all the time, 24 hours, where there are 4 hours. In Courage Valley, no power line, only generators, and they give power only for 4 hours. What kind of solutions will work there? Limited power supply. We have to find out. We need to develop those solutions. Otherwise, we will only concentrate, all our solutions will go in areas where power supply is more robust, and then other regions will be left behind. A small example, when you drink water with a hand pump, your hand cannot hold all the water. So some water overflows. So what did two innovators, Swayambhu Sharma from Rajasthan and Chandan Agarwal from a class, they said, sir, we can have one small pipe for drinking, bigger one for filling the utensils. And if some water still overflows, we can put it in a pit so that animals can drink water. This is inclusive of not just human beings, but also animals. They are part of our life. The non-human sentient beings are as important for our research to be inclusive as others. So, for example, windmills that we design, the glass panes that we design, will they hurt the birds? Reflections from them? If so, what kind of paint we put on them so that the birds are not hurt, birds don't collide with those panes by looking at their image or get confused? So all of this needs to be. Similarly, we know that telecom towers radiate energy of certain kind, and those rays could harm the small wildlife or animals or birds there. So therefore, we need to work out such systems which will help people to communicate with each other. We don't want telecom communications to be affected, but we also want safer networks. One of the reasons, whenever you increase the power of a transmission or antenna in a telecom tower, the radiations increase. Some of you might know. Is there anybody from NPL? Anybody from NPL who works on this problem? You could give us a 1 minute plug-in on this, or anybody else from that, for that matter. So I'm told by one of the students in the last batch that whenever we increase the power of transmission or receiving signals, the radiations increase. And obviously, some of these radiations are hazardous. And many times you have seen tower on the top of the building. Obviously, the person living below it might be getting affected. So how do we make technology safe for environment, for birds, for ants, for squirrels, for cattle, for other animals, and for human beings? To me, that will be a case of good, total inclusivity. This is another example where in 92 we got filed a patent for Mansubhai Jagani for motorcycle-based plowing machine. In US, it was filed in 98, granted in 2003 by Gyan helped it in filing that. And there are so many different variations that have come about. Now there's a tractor version which called a Seredo. All these variations have been developed by grassroots innovators. And obviously, if 10, 15,000 of these tools, these machines are sold every year, there must be need for that many in the society. Otherwise, we wouldn't be so many people will not be manufacturing. This is an interesting example. We have a lot of database of Chinese innovations and Indian innovations. A Chinese made a boat into car, so to say, for transporting goods. In between, there was a big lake which he had to cross. So after crossing, his boat became car. In Kerala, Vinod tried to make car into boat, which was much more costlier end of the solution. So sometimes the Chinese are able to find a frugal end of the problem, but sometimes their problems are as similar to our solutions are as similar. Indian farmer developed a cycle-based hoe, and a Chinese farmers have also tried to use it in different parts of the country, right in the outside of Beijing, to other parts, hoes which are based on cycle. So it is interesting that civilized civilizations thousands of miles apart, Himalayas, separate Chinese and India, and still we develop similar solutions because we are facing a similar challenge. Some of you interested in history should read the 12th volume of History of World Civilization by Arnold Toynbee, and you will find that he developed a model, challenge response model, and he argued that given the similar challenge, sometimes societies generate similar responses to deal with challenge, and something similar is happening here. It's interesting. So how do we respond to a specific need? We can have a fixed solution or a flexible solution. We can permit derivative innovations, malleable, repurposable, recombinable, which is the example of Sati or Senedo or this motorcycle-based flying machine. There are 400 different fabricators, and they're tailoring the solution to the needs of the customer. And a lot of variations are arising in the process. Recently, Gyan organized in a partnership with Suzuki Innovation Center in Suzuki, Japan. We have taken 6 or 7 innovations. If some of you are interested in working on them, we will be happy. And one of them was this, and there was a service camp organized, free service for various people who wanted to get their plows machine serviced. And during that process, several ideas came out of what further improvements can the designers include in these to make them more efficient. So how do we involve users of our solution in redesigning our solution? In doing R&D, how do we involve people who use our solutions in the R&D process so that our R&D process becomes more robust? How do we use multiple heuristics to solve the same problem? How do we encourage paradoxical thinking? During Buddhist time, when some of the best logical schemes evolved in our country, one reason was of Charvaks. Charvaks used to always speak in paradoxical terms. They will talk about opposite of whatever with the common sense. For example, if we say, don't live beyond your means, they will say, eat and drink and be merry today. We'll see tomorrow what happens. So the idea was to widen the scope of imagination and look at the contradictions. So if you have a distribution and you take the left tail and the right tail and look at the contradictions in the two tails, that might give you more insight than only looking at plus minus 1 standard deviation, 2 standard deviation. So idea is to look at extremes of a framework of a phenomena and see the contradictions, and through that process, generate new ideas. Even TRIZ tries to use the same method of creative problem solving. You can read more about it. But it's an interesting way of solving problems. How can we create databases? I will just mention that's already, there are very interesting model that we have developed. People-to-people copying is not only allowed but encouraged, but people-to-firm through licensing. So many of our grassroots innovations become open source when it comes to people-to-people learning. But for companies, they have to license. The Honeybee Network has facilitated through NIF more than 1,200 patents. And none of these patents is used to prevent another farmer in the village to copy. That's fine. Their need, right to life should take priority over right to property. Unless I live, how can I share the benefits. So you may like to reflect on, we didn't bother to copy Western model. We developed our own models, really suitable for our own culture. So how do we look at affordability versus accuracy? During COVID, some of the vaccines that we used had what level of efficiency, friends? What range of efficiency they had? Anybody? Some had 60%, some had 70%. If you write a paper, exactly, and if you write a paper less than 1% or 5% level of significance, most journals will not accept it. But my question is very simple. COVID has taught us that some solutions, even at 10% or 20% level of, if they work well and there is no adverse effect, we should not throw them out. Large number of technologies have been thrown out of the window of the CSIR labs just because they were not effective at 1% or 5% level of sophistication. Kindly reflect on this. I would like some of you to argue on this issue, have a debate on this. We'll allocate time for that. Will some of you like to argue on this issue? That this is too restrictive an assumption that every solution should be within 95 or 99% of accuracy? Is that too restrictive an assumption for developing solutions? When we know in COVID, we accepted solutions of much lesser efficiency because lives had to be saved. And we realized that if some part of the solution will be by vaccine and some our immunity. So we also took immunity boosting solutions of our Ayurvedic or whatever else, and we supplemented them with the vaccine. And things worked. So please understand that we need to think afresh about how solutions should be designed. The existing models are not going to help us a great deal. In emergency, certainly not, but even in the normal times, there are conditions. Let us say you have a pesticide which controls 80% of the pest and without side effect on the beneficial insect. Then it is possible that 20% of the control will be achieved by the beneficial insect. So complementing nature rather than contradicting nature all the time could be the way forward. So please think about this. And I would very much wish if some of you join the debate in subsequent classes. If any one of you has a strong view against it, I'll welcome that. So before we close, I'll take one or two PowerPoints and then we'll close. This example I want to give you how challenge awards have helped our country. Gandhiji challenged in 1929, issued an award of 7,700 pounds for changing the design of charkha, spinning wheel. US government gave $500,000 challenge award on mask redesign. Bangladesh gave water innovation challenge awards. So how do we sometimes give challenge awards for solving problems which are too complex, which we have lived with for too long, and which have not been solved? And this is something where, of course, policymakers have to play a role, but you have to, even at lab level, we can issue challenges for students in all colleges, not just in that lab. Somebody will find out a solution to a problem that we have. You have lab waste, which you don't know what to do with. Put it up a challenge. Anybody finds a solution, we'll be able to help it. So learning, leveraging, linking, and legitimization. This is what the Honeybee Network has tried to communicate. It need not happen sequentially. Gyan can do learning, Gyan can leverage, Gyan can link, Gyan can legitimize solutions with the public policy. Any one of us can do that. It's just that 4 dimensions of a value chain of innovation that we will have to build upon. Solutions should be frugal, sustainable, inclusive. I'll stop here. And because time is over, we are going to close in 1 minute. The solution should be accessible. Solution should be affordable. And solution should be available. It's not enough to have accessibility, but not affordability. Have affordability, not availability. You go to a primary health center or a chemist shop, there is a medicine which costs only, let's say, 50 paisa per tablet, but it's not available. Stock out. Then what good is that medicine? So we have to ensure that our solutions are available to people for whom they are meant. They're affordable to people for whom they are meant. and they're accessible. People can not only use that, but they can modify them possible. So I'll stop here. Any comment in the last few minutes, and then we will close. Anybody wants to say anything, you're welcome. Any comment or question? No comment, no question? How is it possible? No, I appreciate Poonam, but is there any reaction you have? What is your feeling at this moment? I would have shared the mood meter in where we could have measured your mood just now, but next class tomorrow I'll do that. Where do you think we are at this moment? Are we making progress? Are we moving ahead? Anything that you wish to change in our pedagogy? Where we need to modify our way of communication, our arguments, our suggestions, observations? So my suggestion is tomorrow, bring examples of the unmet needs. And instead of using our own examples, we will prefer to use your examples and then try to go into the issue of why these needs have remained unmet. That will make it very participative and interesting. We'll also circulate a spreadsheet today by email, a revised outline and a spreadsheet, where you will find this link where you can submit. Namika, can you put them on the chat also, these two links that Rageshri sent us? Or you want me to do that? She made the two sheets link of the.
I
will.
I
Meeting link, no. Yeah, this is the one. So I'm sharing this for unmet need, and we will send you by email just now. I'm also putting on the chat. You can download it here from, and where is the chat? And this goes to everybody. So you got the two links. Unmet need का form आपको मैंने circulate कर दिया. Please try to fill it up. And also that other one is for later class. But anyway, we are sharing both. If you are not able to fill it up by tomorrow, doesn't matter. You can fill it up later also. But do.
maybe in the holidays, sir.
That's right. There are Diwali holidays. So do take some time off when you're free and fill up these unmet needs. The forms are shared with you. Google Forms are shared with you. And we'll bring them for discussion. Some of the interesting one we will pick up for discussion in the subsequent classes. Thank you so much. Happy Diwali to all of you. Yes, I will send it on the email also.
Thank
Asha.
you, sir.
We're just going to send it. Yes, thank you. Good luck.
Thank you,
All
sir.
the best.
Sir.
Do well.
Thank you, sir.
God bless you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank
And
you,
be
sir.
green and be sustainable in your use of putakas. Bye-bye. God bless.
Thank you. Happy Diwali.
Thank you, sir. Happy Diwali.
Thank you,
think
sir. Happy
tomorrow we have a
Diwali.
class.
Bye-bye.
Tomorrow we have a class.
Tomorrow we have a class at 5:30. Please don't forget and tell your friends.
We have to use the same link for that.
Same link.
Yes,
Same link
this
will
is the
continue all
recurring
through the
link.
course. Yes.
All the classes will
Okay,
be
sir.
available on this link.
Happy Diwali, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, yeah. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, sir. Happy Diwali, sir.